First time,
Right there.
does it matter here? I tell you what, that might maybe be better. All right, yeah, I've got my team over here.
All right, just go ahead and begin. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kim Eddy, thank you for letting us bring House Bill 162 here today. It's basically Groundhog Day in Georgia. This was done last year when we did the tax rebate, $1 billion income tax rebate to the citizens of Georgia. Basically the bill mirrors the one that the governor proposed last year and passed. It highlights basically that it's a $500 for joint tax filer, $375 for head of household, $250 for a single filer, and it's for the those that have filed for their 2021 and 2022. So this will not happen till after the 2022 filing that they'll be able to get that income tax rebate. Basically, as part of the governor's package, and he's talked about it in his the state address, and just wants to give back to the citizens of Georgia what's theirs and not the government's.
All right, thank you. Any particular questions from the committee? Here we go. Very good. Go ahead. Chairman
Just to
Martin.
follow up, is this the first year? We're going to have this again. First year. So I know we're going to have. Just if I were to read, I understand what you said and what the governor was. This is a refund.
Yes.
And I just want, if we could look, to the extent I asked the commissioner earlier about what had been done previously, just make sure if there's any language in there that has any ambiguity in it, that the IRS could look on it a different way relative to the federal taxation on it. That we just take care to make sure we did that maybe like we did before, so that we put because I know that's the governor's intention, your intention, this committee's intention is to not create a taxable event unless they had gotten a tax benefit from the state tax they had paid before that. So that was the only thing I would do, just because I know the IRS, or at least, isn't it true? I think I know the IRS would look for just any little word in there they could because it's $1 billion. So if they can make it, taxable, they get 200 million of it, and I don't think that's our intent.
Well, I'm not going to speak for the Revenue Department. I'll let them speak for themselves. But I'm sure, the Georgia Revenue Department can control the IRS.
No, they can't. I know, but the language in there that we put can direct the. I mean, they look for keywords in there, anything other than a tax refund, to make it a taxable income event. So I'm sure we've taken care of that. But just to reiterate,
I'm going to let Austin speak on that.
We can definitely review that as a team. As the commissioner mentioned earlier, we typically don't comment on federal taxability. There were some instances where, it is within the realm of possibility, but we'll make sure that everything is buttoned up. But with the exception of changes in years, this is the same bill that was brought before y'all last year that also explicitly states that this will not be subject to state taxation, which we as DOR do control. So.
Representative Buckner.
Thank you. I was wondering when the governor and all of his staff were thinking about doing this again, was there ever any kind of conversation about, instead of just doing a blanket refund like this bill proposes, and doing something that's more long-term, like an earned income tax credit? Was there any conversation about that?
Well, I was not privy to any of those conversations. Of course, this is the governor's package that he gives us as a floor leader for us to carry, and basically this is just a mirror of last year's rebate to the taxpayer to give back what is the taxpayers that's in surplus. So I think we just want to keep it simple, get this money back so they understand what they got last year is going to be the same thing as they're getting this year. Just to keep, because there was a lot of questions of how much I'm going to get, and we're doing this again this year. They should understand, and we shouldn't get all those calls as a representative of that area. I think it's just to keep it clean and simple instead of trying to confuse. They understand these, 500, 375, and 250 is pretty easy to figure that out for the taxpayer.
May I follow up, Mr. Chair? So for the people that call me that said that they didn't get their Kemp card with $250 on it, where do I refer them?
To me.
Awesome.
Okay. And then one last question, I promise. It'll be a quick one, but I did get calls, and that's what they said. I also received a number of calls, and there are a lot of people that felt like that it would be nice if these were linked to things like child care. They're working, they can't afford the child care, and if it was some kind of tax credit that was related to that to help them as a working family, it would be more meaningful. And that some people who make a lot more money, they don't even notice the $250, $500. It just comes in and goes out. And I know the policy, I know the sensitivity of who all's involved, but I do think there's a way we could do this where it would be very meaningful to some working families.
I mean, we have, in every community, we have those working families that do have a need. But, when you're giving a rebate back to someone of their money, how do you discriminate between this person, and, how much the percentage they may get? So this is just a clean way to give the taxpayers of Georgia their rebate.
I get it. Thank you.
I'm good. Wave.
Are you on there?
I
Chairman
don't know.
Martin, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. So isn't it true what you just said is what I wanted to make clear. We're not debating tax policy here. This is just a simple thing of we're giving people a tax refund.
Yes.
Based on if you're a single or if you're head of household or thing. So Representative Buckner, you want to have drop a bill. I mean, in my opinion, if you want to have a policy debate, but what the governor was doing here is giving Georgians their money back. Isn't that true?
That is true.
A small portion of their
Yes.
money back.
$1 billion.
Unless that was all they paid.
$1 billion may be a small portion in Augusta. It's a large portion in North Fulton County. It could be a very
I'm that
large
poor
portion
country
in some-
undertaker.
It could
so
be
I
100%. If somebody only paid
everything's relative.
$250 in taxes, they would get 100% of their taxes back.
Large portion.
Well, that's something that,
That is
when
true.
you get these calls, they may assume they've paid, or there may be extensions, and that's something that the question we need to ask back to someone that calls us. So, are you sure you paid your taxes, or do you have an extension? And so that's a fair question to ask those callers. Oh yeah.
I look forward to it.
Very helpful.
Zero, there's nothing to give back. If you paid 500, you get 500 back. You're at the same place that somebody that paid zero.
Correct. Isn't that true?
You're already there.
Yes.
This is not. I credit the governor. He didn't try to make tax policy, which is a collaborative effort between the legislative branch and the executive branch. He's issuing a refund.
Thank you, sir. This is a hearing only, first hearing, so we will look into hearing this again
Okay,
at some
good.
point in the future.
I hear you.
Probably soon.
All right. Thank y'all. Thank you, Mr.
All
Chairman.
right, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks for playing.
You ready? Lo- All right. We got his bill. Thank you. All right, we're going to call the Avalorum Subcommittee to order. We've got one bill today. That bill is House Bill 138. And to my friend, who I've carried this legislation before, I'm going to let you go forward with it. If I'm not mistaken, this bill passed last year, but just didn't make it through the Senate. Is that correct? You may want to elaborate a little also on that.
Yes, sir.
Are you six?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman. And to those who are still in attendance, y'all are very lucky, because if you thought the IRC was riveting, you wait till you get a load of this. So this bill, House Bill 138, I did have last year. It did get through this committee. Actually made it all the way through the House and to the Senate. It unfortunately, it's a very specific bill for Butts County, and was being carried on the Senate side last year by the current Lieutenant Governor. I have no idea why it didn't get through last year, but I think it will. I think we'll get through this year. What it does, this law actually dates back to prior to the 1980s. It's been introduced every 10 years. You did it years ago when you were representing Butts County. My predecessor, Chairman Welch, did it his first term. And then every 10 years after a census, we need to update this bill. It actually is a population bracket that identifies Butts County. And what it does is it allows folks that have a own property on a Georgia Power lease lot on Jackson Lake in Butts County to file for homestead exemption. The only way they can do that is we have to update that population bracket every 10 years, and that's what this bill does.
Simple as that. Questions? You're on. You're on.
No, Mr. Chairman, I was just going to say I know we kind of beat this to death last year, and I think looking around the room, I think everybody was here. So if it's not a hearing only, I'll make a motion.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to stick right now, and it's a good point that we've done it before. But right now, we're going to make sure that we're adhering to the long-standing policy of 2 hearings. Even though we've heard this, I think in the best interest, and we're going to have hearings next week. Chairman Blackman's already getting those, I guess, together and scheduled. So we'll do that at the appropriate time in that second hearing. We'll make sure everybody hears it today. Is there any questions regarding?
Is it not true? You'll be welcome back to the next hearing.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I believe that is true, and I look very forward to restating this bill's position again. Thank you.
Seeing no further questions, I think that's the only thing on our Avalorum agenda today. And with that, we will be adjourned. Is that it for the? And that will be all for the Ways and Means Subcommittee hearings today. Thank you.